Trains may not stop here for passengers anymore, but you gotta love the freight trains that still zoom through here past one of the busiest and most beautiful and well-loved landmarks here in Whitewater, Wisconsin, the Whitewater Passenger Depot. Let's train through some history, shall we? The Whitewater Depot was built in 1890 to 1891 at the boon of the development and expansion of train lines in Wisconsin for both passengers and freight use. It was designed by John T. W. Jennings, who was an architect for the Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Paul Railway Company for 8 years, and then moved on to designing buildings from the Janesville Public Library to many buildings at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Jennings's architectural style was high Victorian Gothic, and you can see examples of that splendidly on the depot. Characteristics include the use of weighty, multicolored stonework, the pilaster and decorative work in the gables, its pointed arch openings, and its supporting slender wooden braces underneath the overhangs. These beautifully large overhangs were designed specifically for the passengers to protect them from the rain while they're waiting for the train. I think I hear a song there. The rain's a pain while waiting for the train. The rain. So the big question is, why did Whitewater have a passenger depot in the first place? Was Whitewater that important during the Industrial Revolution to actually have a track line go through the center of town? Well, it all started in Milwaukee in the 1840s, spearheaded by businessman Byron Kilbourne, who felt there was great economic possibilities in developing a rail line from Milwaukee to the Mississippi. Conjecture has it that the farming and community of Whitewater did some good lobbying and purchasing of stock in the line in order for the railroad to go through the town. The railroad company saw the importance and advantages of including the agricultural economies of Walworth and Rock counties into its line without having to sacrifice too much mileage on their way to Madison. This section through Whitewater was completed in 1852, and over 2,000 people, including 300 from Milwaukee, celebrated its track opening. In 1890, Whitewater began to build the passenger depot, again supported by the Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Paul Railroad Company, who at the time boasted the transport of over 9 million tons of freight and over 7 million passengers per year across the Midwest. So what does a brilliant and curious kid do in the 1900s while waiting for the train? Ha ha! Shh! Don't tell my mother! Cool. But I digress. Progress gives to many, but it also takes away from some, and the railroad is no exception. In 1908, a weird four-wheeled contraption is invented and mass-produced, called the Ford Model T. Appealing to the independence that it gave families, Ford began selling a ton of them, 15 million of them between 1908 and 1925. and the slow demise of the passenger railroad industry began. In 1951, passenger service stopped here in Whitewater, and then that was the end of a transportation era here in Whitewater. But what happens? What's next? What do you do with a depot that no longer is a depot? That, my friends, we have to find out next month on the second half of this Landmark Trek series on the Whitewater Depot.